We all have that one mate that wants to rely on you for a lot of things. Well, there was a guy I had met through my closest girlfriend at the time. He liked to drink a lot and he liked to smoke a lot, but despite doing all these things, he was a chilled out guy. He had got me running around town to go to appointments, the shops, friends' houses, and so on, but he would always chuck me petrol money for driving him around, which I thought was fair. The thing was, this guy was all over the shop. If he wasn't staying at his house out of town, he would be in at the suburbs of town at his partner's house. He was going backwards and forwards to these locations. On top of that, because he didn't have a license, I had to drive him everywhere, which meant he kept me busy, being out and about all day, almost every day. I had other things to do with other people and my family, so I didn't want to help him every day. Plus, I was driving my dad's van around because I didn't have my own car, so whenever my dad would call me telling me he needed the van, I would have to go back home. My mate understood, but it made him annoyed, so I'd have to drop him off wherever we were at the time. There would be days where I had to stay at home because my dad would be using the van. My mate would either text me or call me asking me what I was up to. Because I had no car that day, that would really irritate him. It wasn't my fault, and it wasn't my problem, but it seemed like he had no one else to help him, so he'd take his frustration out on me. I really didn't like it when he got like this. It was a massive red flag. Once a fortnight, my old flatmate would come to visit me, and we would spend the day together. He drove a little SUV four-wheel drive. He'd let me drive from my house into town. My other mate, though, would be calling me now, wanting to know what I was doing. I'd tell him I'd be out with my other mate, which would get him asking us for favours. My mate didn't like the idea, but we weren't really doing anything, so we helped him out with what he wanted. He also knew he couldn't keep us all day because it was my other mate's car and he had other plans, so we could just drop him off when we wanted to leave. Finally though, I had saved some money. With my mum's help, I was able to get my own car. It was a nice ride and very reliable. I was very happy with it, but once my mate found out about it, he knew this was the perfect opportunity to use me for my time, my car, and my patience. One day, we drove out to the next town, 20 minutes out west, as he had to go see a mate of his. I just waited in the car for him, as I didn't like his other friends he kept beyond my circle. On our way back into town, he wanted to go for a little drive up a dirt road to collect some sticks for his pet cockatoo, for some new perches. I thought, why not? A bit of nature wouldn't hurt us. We drove up the dirt track into the forestry, and we foraged around looking for big sticks, which we were successful at doing. There were lots of them. There was a big dirt mound next to where we were parked, and I was at the top of it. I started sliding down it, and I fell over, and I hurt my foot. My mate laughed and asked if I was alright. My foot was actually killing me now. I couldn't put any pressure on it. I've either broken something or sprained it. It then started to swell up. I told my mate I had to drop him home and go home and show my parents. He completely understood, so I drove him home. When I got home, my mum had looked at my foot. She rang the doctors for me to see them the next day. In the meantime, she bandaged it up. This really sucked. I was in a fair bit of pain. After a sleepless and painful night, I went to the doctors and my mum drove me in her car. The doctor told me it looked like a pulled or torn tendon in my foot, but to make sure I had to go have an x-ray done. After getting that done and being looked at, that's what had happened. I had to rest it for at least 3 weeks, and I was on painkillers. It literally took 6 weeks to heal completely. My mate was not happy about this. I didn't see him for a while after that. Once my foot was better though, my brother snapped to me straight up and wanted my help doing some carpentry work for him on a few different houses. I got paid decent money from doing that too. And that was another reason why I couldn't help my friend out as much now, because I was busy doing constructive things. The next time I saw my mate though, he had another mate with him who had a ute. Was that his new best buddy now? I kind of felt relieved and free. I wasn't relied on anymore, or used. He had found his new chauffeur,